All right, good. So we have started recording. Good evening, everyone. To all who have actually joined us, this is our first proper Design Together session. And the purpose of the Design Together session is basically to have creatives, talented creatives, to actually join us and basically just walk us through their process. Today we are with Abiodun Bada, the real bad man. And and it's a pleasure to have you. So, Bada, just before you begin, just introduce yourself.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and I respect wherever place you're joining from. Good afternoon, morning, morning. Any. All right. My name is Abiodun Bada. I started off as graphics designer about a decade and a half. Yeah, that's over 30 years ago. So over the years, I've been able to, let me say, evolve from being a graphics designer into getting into. There is one echo coming from the side. Maybe I connected to the same.
Okay. Let me mute. Oh gosh, I don't know. Since my app is hanging.
Okay. All right. Let me proceed.
Okay,
so over the years, I've been able to evolve from being a graphics designer into, let me say, branding at the time, trying to understand the basis of logo design, typography, colors, and all those things. The last 3 years, that's from 2016, no, 2019, delve more into product design. I'm able to work with startups, and I think it's been a fun ride since that time. So let me just stop there. Hello, how you there?
Sorry, my my Telegram was hanging for some strange reason.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, all right. So let's get started with today's efforts. So, Bada, what are we doing today?
Okay, so today we're showing you, or should I say, walking you through the process that I take when it comes to branding, logo design. More like taking you from, yes, I'm sure some of us know this process, but sometimes it could be like a refresher course to some of us, and it could be a form of eye opener to some. So let me walk you through the process. When, let's say, if I get a brief from a client, what are the things that I do, in order to be able to submit or deliver a very good delivery. Okay, so there is no formal course outline, but I will try as possible to, let me say, for those that are taking notes, maybe you can take this down. I will start from, let me say, the brief. Going to, let me say, billing. Sometimes some of us tend to have challenges with that. And I will go into, let me say, creating a form of notes around what you are trying to create. Sketches, conceptualization, and more like just those process. And sometimes all these process are not that, oh, I'm done with this one, let me go to this. It could be something that's that can become seamless for some of us over time. And sometimes I like when I understand a rule in order to know how to successfully break it. Just so that means I have to familiarize myself with the process, understanding, the deep knowledge when it comes to whatever thing I'm doing. Okay, so let's dive right into it. All right, so let's assume I got a call from a client. Maybe it could be through referral, it could be through whatever, from a client, and they send the brief in, and let's say the brand, they are into fashion, and um, they are into fashion, and they just said their brand is healthcare brand that focus on that focus specifically on creating uncoiled hair, and their mission is to promote and celebrate the beauty of curls, that's there, and empower individuals to confidently embrace their curly hair, sometimes natural hair or whatever. So that's more like their brief. So one of the first things that I tend to do is to let me say understand the deliverables. So I tend to send a form of brand brief. Yes, I could get a form of let me say what's called from some clients that know what they really want, and let's say out of 100%, sometimes not all knows how to prepare these things. So I would just send a form of brand brief for them to be able to feel. The objective of this brand brief is to understand the brand, understand the deliverables, because it's good when you and your clients are on the same page in every phase of a project. So after, let me say, them filling this brand brief, is from there, sometimes creatives tend to make a mistake by saying, oh, um, some clients could reach out to you. Oh, so, I want a logo, blah 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 blah. How much do you charge? Okay. I try as much as possible to engage in that kind of conversation. I try as much as possible to gear towards how, let me say, my process. And for some clients that don't want to really respect this process, I could, let me say, perceive them to be like a red flag sometimes. That means they don't really care about whatever thing you want to do in terms of process. So I try as much as possible to watch those angles. So I get the brief from the client. I try to create an invoice. So that means understanding the brief, the deliverables. Sometimes after them sending the what's called to you, you could go back to them and be like, okay, just to check in. These deliverables, are they corresponding to what you want them to do? More like just doing a form of checking. Before you send in your invoice. So my advice there is that don't try to engage, in saying that, oh, my logo design is 500,000. Don't do that. Sometimes it doesn't really show professionalism. So I would just advise you that once a client charge up to you, I would like to get this. I would like to do this. Try to send them something. That's what I do anyway. I send them a brand brief. They fill it. I understand the deliverables. It's from those deliverables I'll be able to create my invoice. After that, I move to my invoice carried something like a note by saying we won't start any what's called on this project if we don't have a particular percentage. So I tend to advise creative, because what we are doing is intellectual property, and people can find a way around, recreating whatever thing you send to them. So I advise that you get a form of pay down, before you start any project at all. You might think, oh, but I'm not there yet. I'm not a professional yet. All right, I'll try and say something in Yoruba, and I'll try and translate it. For some of us that are not Yoruba, please hold on. There's a saying in Yoruba that, okay, let me just say it in English. Whatever thing you don't want to accept when you are rich is when you are poor, you try to dislodge those things. So I will advise you to do that. After that, I tend to go back to the brief and try to highlight some of those things that I need to do. So that means I would like to create a narrative around the brand. What's this brand about? What are they trying to do? What are they selling? So it's from there I'll be like, okay, understanding the um, just highlighting more like a word map. Trying to highlight some key things about the brand. Or are they new age? Are they old school? Or are they trying to marry the two? More like creating a form of old in a new school way. And one of the ways creative people can achieve that is maybe using a particular color style, tones of color, shades of color. So after doing that, I tend to highlight those words because those are the things that will tend to, let me say, guide me when I'm creating my creating whatever thing at all. So the brand name we are using here as a case study is Whoosh Beauty. WOOSH. That's WOOSH. Whoosh Beauty. So let's say Whoosh Beauty reaches out to me that they would like to create an identity for their brand. So I will try to. I don't tend to go to to the system straight. We have God has gifted us with something which is our hands, and I guess this is where there is a bridge between, let me use what, old designers and new designers. Yes, it is not every time that you do this, but your hands are free. As small as this pencil is, I've gotten like plenty money via it. Why? Because this is where you pour out your creativity on a paper, and you can erase it, you can fine tune it, you can flex your, what's it called, on this. So one of the things that I now tend to do after creating a narrative around it, around the brand that I want to, around the brand, by saying maybe they are new age, they want popping colors, or they want this, they are one of their selling, what's called, is that they sell natural hair, maybe like wig or whatever it is. So, and they are into hair care products too. So I'll try to, write the name down. Write the name down, something like this. And before I, now delve straight into maybe starting or whatever it is, the reason why I'm doing this is because sometimes when we hear something, some few things flashes through our mind. Those thoughts, those images are very, very powerful. Imagine me saying red apple with a bite. You are not saying red. You are not saying like APPLE. No, you are seeing a picture. So when you hear the name or when you hear the brand, there are some things that resonate within you. Try as much as possible to capture those things down. And one of the ways you can do that is maybe by doing a rough sketch. It doesn't have to be detailed. You don't have to even know how to draw. Just capture those things down. And then after capturing those things down, those ideas are raw to you. They are raw to you at that time. Like there is no influence maybe from research. There's nothing yet. And you get better with this over time. It's not. I can't. Let me say. I don't say. I won't expect much from maybe a graphic designer that just started maybe a year ago or 6 months ago. Yes, that was what can be there, but all those things get better over the years. So after pouring down my own, raw ideas that came to me when I heard the name, or reading through their brief and whatever it is. I will now go online. Now let's start. Let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. All right. So, so sometimes I start by understanding what whoosh is. What does it mean? Okay. So here it's saying move quickly or suddenly with a rushing sound. Okay. Can you guys see my screen clearly? All right, let me transition. Yeah. Here it's saying move quickly or suddenly with a rushing sound. So one of the key words here is to, let me say, move quickly. So I tend to sometimes note that down. So there is a move, there is a suddenly, so that means if I'm trying to create something, that means I have to create something that flows, something that seems to be quick, that is just seamless, So after that, I'll try and look at, let me say, similar words. Whoosh. Hold on. Yeah. So sometimes hearing that sounds like, let me say, like a fast, something that is fast in its form. Okay. So I'm trying to write down, let me say, some word maps just to guide me in my further search. So I will now type whoosh logo, because the reason for this is because you just want to know what is existing out there. You don't want a case where you finish all your ideas, bam, the logo is really nice, everything is nice, and you go online just to, not like just to check, but you just want to maybe let me just see. And one of the first things you see on Google search is that logo that you just created. That seems to be like a good idea, right?
Yeah, that's a very frustrating. A lot.
Yeah, I remember my first encounter. I think the guy's name is William something, more like WM. So in my head, I just went straight to like sketching something down. Yeah, like like I said, when you hear something, there are some flashes that run through your mind. So I just tried to like sketch something down. I was feeling good about the idea, like I like it. The mistake that I made, I just went straight to what is called, because I felt it's quick money, there's some money that when you hear the brand, really, I will just finish and just collect their money. So okay, hold on guys. I sorry, we are in Nigeria, so I want to like do a change over.
Okay.
Where can I pause? All right. Sorry, guys.
No, that's fine.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I was thinking a story around WM. So I just went straight to my laptop, after the sketch, develop on the idea. So I just thought, okay, let me just have maybe more ideas so that I can put them in the presentation. You know, I just went online. Guess what? I think the first or the second one on the Google search was more like the exact logo that I designed. As in like the exact logo. So what is that? I learned a lesson from there because one thing about creating is that don't throw away some of your lessons. It could be on the job, whatever it is. So what's the lesson that I learned? That sometimes, in as much as the idea might seem to be, let me say, raw to you, like, oh, something came to your mind, is a compendium of whatever thing that you familiarize yourself with. However, that idea sometimes might not be original to you. I don't know if you get my point. It might not really be original to you. More like something similar might be out there. So the reason why I tend to encourage research during this phase is because you can do a form of, there's nothing new under the sun. Trust me, there's nothing new. We take of what is on the earth, do some mixing, and then back something new. What am I saying? Let's say a chemist, or what are these people that deals with chemicals and all those things? They take of what is on the earth.
Yeah.
They take of what is on the earth. It could be in form of sulfur. They mix it with whatever thing. Those things, they are not the one creating it, as it were. So one of the reasons why I tend to encourage research is to do a form of, I want you to use a word, to have, I'm trying as much as possible not to use a censor words. Please borrow me words. So, when you have fellowship, I'm sure you can picture it in your mind with other people's idea that is out there. Imagine me taking a style from someone, and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there is no new idea, but those new ideas are sometimes birthed out of a fellowship, a marriage of all the ideas, that we came across via research. So the reason I'm trying to emphasize this stage, because this stage is very, very critical. Research stage, when it comes to design, is very, very, very critical. So let me quickly go back to Whoosh. So after that, I type in Whoosh logo online. I don't want to take any assumption. I don't want to say, okay, maybe this brand is new. I don't want to assume. I will sometimes just type it like that, on Google, and let me see the results. Okay. Now, I don't know if you remember the definition of whoosh that we read the other time. This one seems to be in line with it. The illusion as if something is fast, or like flash.
Yeah.
But this one is not really relating to fashion brand that try to sell, let me say, curly hair, just trying to encourage people that maybe they are keeping their natural form, or maybe they sell that wig, or or whatever it is, or maybe they have a product that will make people to achieve that kind of stuff. And we are trying to create something that even a high-end person and a new school could relate with. So that means you are not just creating a brand that, in code, that links towards the a particular demographic. We are trying to strike a balance between two. Now, after running through this, this one jumped at me. I think I like this idea, right? But can I really use this icon? Let's say this one. I'm pointing at this. Can I really use this? Then I will sometimes tend to recreate this. I will just recreate this. I'm coming, I will show you. So maybe I will try and recreate this like this. Well, somewhere. What if someone is standing from afar? Is it looking like a mountain? So those are the things that I tend to ask myself. You try to consider the negative space and the positive space of whatever thing you are creating, so that what seems to be right to you can be assumed wrongly by somebody else. I try as much as possible to check those two words. Okay. So I think I might have to now narrow down my idea now. So by saying, maybe, let me just type. Let me see what I will get. Let me say W logo. I can search different platforms. I can search Pinterest. I can search Dribble. Sometimes I go to Behance. Don't forget, what we are trying to do is to have a form of, I think I have to use it, idea intercourse between all those things that you are seeing. I don't know if you get my point. Please, if you have any, what's it called, you could let me. Is there a chat? What's it called in this? You could help me at any time, maybe to ask questions or something. So I will try to now do a form of Google search to know. Like I said, this looks nice. I like the flow of this, right? I like the flow of this. Okay. Now I will tell you something once I get to where I'm going. I like the flow of this, and I could just, let me say, note this down. So that means I will create a form of a mood board. You could use Illustrator. You could use your mood board. You could create a mood board on Figma. Either of them. Depending on the program that you're using. So I tend to just download these files and create a mood board folder on my laptop. So I'll just, let me say, save this one there. Okay, this one is, I'm seeing those flow. So what I will now do is, let me say, try to start creating, sketching something. Don't forget, we are not going to the system yet, because sometimes just moving straight to system could limit your idea. You could limit the expression of your creativity. So I will start, let me say, sketching different ideas. Sketching different ideas because of time. I might have to, let's say, jump to, because we will need to learn to create something. So I now came up with something like this. I don't know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Lee, I think you might be there.
How do we emphasize on this? Okay.
Okay, can you see my camera? I'm showing you via my camera.
Okay, I can see your camera now.
Yeah. So this is what I want to sketch for the brand.
Okay.
So this is what I came up with. So I'm trying to speed what's it called, so that we need to get much on that, so that we can go to where the action really is. Because I'm trying to just lay the foundation to how my process. What are the things that I do when I get a brief from a client? Like I said, I start by, let's say, sending a brand brief, and to some that have a brand brief, I have to go through it. And after that, I advise on how to get paid. Don't try to negotiate your price there, or this, without understanding the scope of what your deliverable is. After that, I advise not to engage in, let me say, pricing maybe via the phone, or as if we are trying to price paper in the market. And do you agree to? Do you agree to 200? No, I'm not taking 200. That's no. It doesn't show professionalism, irrespective of your level in design. Try as much as possible to, let me look up and to to this kind of process. So once you understand, you send those briefs to them. You understand what their deliverable is. I advise you to have an invoice. For those of you that doesn't have invoice, I would advise you to create one. Because it shows. Sometimes in this approach, some clients that feel maybe they might want to just, let me say, price you to maybe 50K because they see this process. Even some of them tend to get scared that this one you are following process for us like this. Hope your money is not something. Why? Because that is the image you are trying to create. That's the image you are trying to create. I might not be like designing $1 million logo yet, but I've designed. I don't want to say it over the camera. What of
No, they shy. This guy talk calm.
Well, I've designed over 500,000 for a brand. All right, so let me just stop there. So, so why? Because we are not engaging in do this for me, agree this for me. Like I said, I advise that you create an invoice so that you can track as possible to do things formally. After that, I said that I moved to now breaking it down. What's the brand name? What are they into? I start creating narratives. Who are the target audience? What this target audience? What do they like? Just try to create things around it. After that, I said I will now move to sketching down my raw ideas. I'm just trying to do a recap. The reason for this because we are moving more to the practical side. So I'm just trying to do a recap. So after that, I moved to sketching my own raw idea. Those things that came to me when I heard the brand name or when I read the brand brief. I try to just track those things down. Those ideas are unique to you. First of all, to go online and start refining those ideas. Sometimes it could be like, I like the flow of this curve. Or it could be maybe I like the flow of this curve. It could be something like that. Funny enough, I'm just seeing this for the first time today. Yeah, and yeah, really, and see what we sketch. And this thing has been with me for a long time. So yes. This is just a side note. As a creative, especially branding and all those things, I would advise that you have like a field note. It is really, really good. I thank God for a friend that gave me this a while back, and I tend to use it to just track ideas. I've not worked on branding like this before, but I have it already. This is more like Blaze, corner. I just have them. Why? Because you as a creative person, ideas are always flowing through your mind. Trap them. And one of the ways that you do that is by having maybe try to don't assume that you remember later. Don't assume that you remember later. Just try as possible to track them down. Imagine something like this. This idea got refined to something like this, the one I showed you. I'm sure sometimes you might have seen something similar to this or see something. I might not design it like this, but it's something that came to me like a crown and a fork. I just try to trap them down. Imagine a brand comes to me, maybe Lee. I think this thing looks like money points, right?
Yeah. The old one. Yeah.
Is that? I had
the old one. Yes.
So can you see? Yeah. Can you see how creative mind works? I'm sure Leah is just saying this thing for
no. This is actually the first time I'm seeing. This is the first time I'm actually seeing this. Yeah.
But he battered that idea. It could be true research. It could be something. That means sometimes when I have creative ideas like this, the reason I tend to go online to refine them is because sometimes that idea is yeah, it might be to you, but it's common sometimes. Up until you go online and refine that idea. That idea in its raw form sometimes might not be acceptable. Yes, it can, but sometimes you might just need you might just need to redefine them, and one of the ways to do that is PR research. I'm just trying to show you some of the trappings that I've done, you know, you know. I remember doing this some time ago. This is a sketch, the game changer. It's a typography that I did for a particular brand some time ago. So I'm just trying to, sketching is really, really good. You tend to express your creativity. That is what sometimes the clients, that is what they are paying for. That is why you can get, referrals. Why? Because they know that you take your time to bath something great. Don't be in a rush. Yes, there are some projects that tend to, that they need it like yesterday. Build those ones. Why? Because that means they are trying to pay you for years of research that you've done or whatever thing that you've done. They now need it urgently. You can build those ones, but take your time, refine those ideas. And one of the ways you can do it, is through pen and paper. These things are cheap. So let me move on. So after sketching and researching, I tend to sometimes step away. Step away in the sense that I don't really think about the project, but somewhere in my mind, I'm thinking about it. I'm not, how do I say it? It's somewhere in my mind, right? But I'm not really thinking about it. I want to have a fresh approach. I could just go online and just type. Now, here's the trick of how I tend to, bath some of these ideas. What letter is similar to W? Inverse it is M. I search M logos. Because sometimes, yeah, it could just be a free. What did you say?
So that's an interesting approach. I've never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, I do that. I tend to look at similarities. Let's say I'm working on a logo, maybe a V. What letter is similar to V? N. I just go online and search. Don't forget, I started with researching in that space. But in order to spread, expand my mind, I try as much as possible to now go to related, letters. What letter is similar to, let me say, D, P? What letter is similar to P, D? And I try to draw those what's it called? By trying to, what letter is similar to N and to Z is capital N if you inverse it like this. Am I right? Can you say how I'm like expounding my ideas? So that means in research alone, I'm not limited, right? In research alone. Why? Because I tend to go beyond the letters, beyond I'm researching M. I look at researching W. I look at N. I look at V, because sometimes it could be like two V's of existing idea that you just refine to be a new one. Now let me move on. So that's what I do during my, reflecting stage. Like I said, I'm not really researching what that brand is doing. Yeah, I'm just looking at similar letters, maybe V, maybe wave, maybe fast. I'm just why? Because I'm just trying to water my mind. I'm just trying to water my mind. What you're doing that time is having a form of fellowship, like I said, creative intercourse with all these other creative via the works they've displayed online already. Don't forget, there is no new thing under the sun. Think of what is existing and refine it through your own uniqueness, through your own unique creative pattern, creative way of thinking. That is what bats. I'm sure if some people say, "Oh, somebody said something," I think I saw the logo somewhere. Did you design this? It's as if it's it's as if your imprint, is on whatever thing you do. All right, so let me move on. So after this, I now go to digitalization. This idea is what we are trying to do. This idea, sometimes I wish I could just bring it out because it feels perfect. It feels done already. But we have to go through that process of recreating that idea. Sometimes we can change it because what you see on paper so sometimes might not be what you really pass.
That happens to me a lot as well, because like you've drawn it, it looks beautiful. By the time you translate it into design, you're like, what is happening?
It won't fly at all. So that means you have to stay there. That means, okay, if I'm having difficulty, let me say, digitalizing a particular sketch or developing on it, so that means I will look for simpler way of expressing that brand. Simpler ways. That means sometimes I have to, let me say, go back to the drawing board. Why am I not getting this? And in doing that, I'm trying to look at ways of simplifying that same idea. How can I break it down? Can I maybe work on the form first? Maybe work on the form. Oh, okay. Oh, the camera is in fast. Can I maybe work on the form first before, doing, maybe before doing this styling that is inside it? I will try as much as possible to look at the logo from a very simpler perspective. Why? Because I understand that what we design sometimes can be hard, really, 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 really hard. Most especially for some of us that have, let me say, refined our skills in sketching and all those things. Sometimes it can be hard to, to develop. So I will now start the digitalizing process, by scanning this idea. Don't forget, I said we are developing on this, right? Sorry, don't be distracted by all this. They are just ideas that are pinned down maybe for a client that wants to pay me $1 million for a letter. All right, so I will scan the idea, the sketches. I will scan them to my laptop. I could take pictures depending on what's available, or maybe I could just use a scanner to scan it to my system. So after scanning, yeah, that's my scanner over there. So that's what I tend to use sometimes if I'm working from home. So I want to open. So after scanning, any questions so far? Can they say something? Is it possible for them to say something?
No, usually they will ask their questions at the end of the lesson. So, like if you have any questions, hold it up on until the end of the session. Yeah.
All right. So after scanning the idea, I tend to use a grid note. Using a grid note tends to help you for easy development. This is a grid note. We have dotted grid notes. We have a line, hexagonal. We have different types depending on the logo you're trying to develop. One of the ones I even want to explore more right now is all those asymmetric logos. I really want to I've done something on it before, but I think I might just want to delve more. Not more, but maybe something I would like to explore because I'm into something else currently. All right. So now, one of these things I now do from here after scanning, I tend to just do them on paper anyway. I will number those cells because don't forget, we are trying to move this thing from, I think people that are into fine arts, I think they use similar idea. Yeah, it's easier. So I like to now, let me say, number the cells 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that means I'm having odd number and two odd numbers. That means it can easily be scaled down to two even numbers, right? By, let's say, if I scale it down now, that means I will have 10 by 6. All these things are matters because I don't know if you've seen some logos that are long, some logos that are, let me say, landscape, portrait, landscape, and different type. It's not that okay, maybe for me, if I'm working on a logo that is not square, I like to put them in ratio. I like to design them in ratio. Am I designing in ratio maybe 1 by 1, or that's square, or designing in ratio 2 by 3, or 2 by 3, or 3 by 2? That means portrait, landscape. So I try to ask myself those questions. That means this logo is falling in that quadrant of 2:1. We have more of it on the landscape. Can you see how logo design is very fun? And maybe a question might pop up in your mind that, so you do all these things. Yeah, that's what they are paying me for. That's why I can't sell myself short when it comes to, let me say, creating an identity for a brand. So that means whatever thing I'm doing should be worthwhile, should be unique, even from the process down to my deliverables. It should be unique. And all right, so I will now take this scanned document and send it to Illustrator. So now we are getting to now. Okay, let me drag my Illustrator off here because I don't want to show you that yet. Lee, do you have any question? Maybe you could just stop so that while I'm working on this. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't know I was mute. So first of all,
Okay.
I'm even like one of the reasons why I actually wanted you to do this session was specifically for this, the process of it, because I mean I know that my own process is nowhere near as structured. I'm actually one of those people you describe as chaotic good. Like I just bring everything. It's chaotic, and then I just start connecting the dots.
Yes, I like yes, I like when it comes to, let's say, developing team, I love working with people. They will give you the idea raw. Yeah, some of us, like somebody called me and said to me one day, I don't have time for all those things. Should be architectural logo design. That was just said it in passing. Yeah, I will just go and you see that I will be taking set square. Boss was just trying to just have a conversation. Let's move on. So I created this long time ago. It's not rendering well.
We have this grid available for us after.
Oh yes, I can. Is something I can send it. Yes, after.
All right, that'll be awesome. Thank you.
All right, so this is I'm trying to zoom in so that you guys can make sense of it on the screen, because I'm monitoring what I'm displaying here, and I'm seeing that some lines are not showing. So what I've done here, I try to create more like a playground of where I develop my logo. I've created so many logos via this template. Like I said, we have ratios. But one of the perfect logos, I'm not saying it is, but one of the perfect logos that tend to work anywhere, App Icon, Fabicon, most of them are always sometimes in 1:1. That means square. Right? So what I've done here is to simulate something like that. on a very small scale. So that means, can you see that this thing is really far from my artboard? So I try to develop
Yeah.
my logo on a small scale. I don't start too big, so I don't lose details when I scale it down. I like to develop on on a very small, what's it called, using all these cells. So that by the time I scale the logo up, it, it will still retain its form. You know. So
Yeah.
I have something like so I there's a naming convention I tend to use. So I created grid 4V. That means let me zoom in. So 4V means everything here is just vertical. You might think so, we're just trying to develop the logo. Why are we going this far? Don't mind me. That's how I think. You know, I just try to be as possible. So if I don't get that perfect, what's it called, sometimes I tend to start all over again because I'll be like, I tend to just push myself to perfection. Yes, sometimes it is unattainable, but I try as much as possible to push myself there because people tend to get tired at the door of perfection. But it is those that enter through, at least to some extent, that we see their work and we praise them. It's not that. So I have grid 4V. That 4 means I'm designing on a 4px. Am I making sense? I'm designing on a 4px. So just hang there in there with me and we'll get through. Like I said, this is where the work is. So that means I can off each one of these. Yeah, it's rendering well now. So that means I have this now to create a whole grid, a whole cell for me. So how many do I have here? I have 1, 2. Hold on, guys. That lag is kicking in now. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So that means out of these 36 cells, that's on the, what's it called now, row, that means I can get a 4x4, 8x8. For those of us that use Figma, I'm sure you know those upscale. I can get any of these successfully, no matter how big the logo must be. So that means I can get either on this board. So that I'm not creating a form of confusion for myself, I have something like lines that now divide each of these into 4 quadrants for me. I don't know if I see one that is exceeding among them. Yeah. So that I will have a visual of 4 cells. That means I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if I'm designing a logo that's in ratio, I'm just trying to lay the rough sketch so that you will understand what I'm trying to do. Just hang in there, we'll get through. So, if I'm designing a logo that's, let me say, 2 ratios, that's in like 2 ratio 3, 3 ratio 2, either of it, I will now use this one. Can you see that it's divided into 3 now? Can you see those 3 lines? So that means I'm having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that means I can design on this particular what's it called, having 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have one that is 4 and I have one that is 3. Yeah, so like I said, I will send this to you guys so that you don't need to go through all the stress. So now I have one that is bigger, just in case I'm trying to work on a more larger geometric logos, that I don't really need much, going into details. I want to align this to this, I have one that is now bigger, which is grid 8V. So that means each cell is equal to 8 pixels. So that means I have this and this. Can you see the color is different? I tend to switch them, depending on the project I'm working on. So we are getting there now. So now I'm designing this particular logo on the grid 4 PX right now. So let's say I've scanned the documents, the logo, and I've dropped it inside Illustrator. So this is what it looks like. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. So after bringing it into, I tend to advise more clear paper, more like that doesn't have all these, what's it called? I started off with these grids years back, so I don't really use them anymore. All I just need to do is sketch, like a rough sketch of the cell, or more like a box, then walk around the box, bring them in here, and use this particular grid. More like a digital grid for me to use. So after bringing it here, so I can see that there are some lines, but don't get distracted by that. So what I need to now do, first of all, I break it down into layers. I just want to get the form of it first. How does it look like? So one of the ways that I tend to do that now, so I might be looking at this particular side because the screen I'm designing from is here now. Okay, so I will now use, don't forget, we are just trying to test these ideas. We're just trying to see if it does make sense, so that we don't spend too much time trying to create something out of this. If it's not working, boom, we quickly move on to something else, quickly move on to another idea. But one of the things I just tend to do, first of all, is to just create a form of how this logo looks like. That means I will use pen tool to just run through. Nope. I use a more tiny stroke. Yes. So I think I might use the bigger one because of the screen here. I don't know if you can see it very well. Leslie, can you see it very well?
Yeah.
Is it appearing like a broken line, really?
Broken line, no.
Okay. All right, let me move on then. The monitor I'm using is appearing like a broken line. All right, so like I said, I just want to get the form of it. When I started, okay, don't let me go there. So I just want to get the form of it. I know that there will be that difficulty of what you see on paper might be different from, so that means I don't want to bog myself down with that for now. I just want to see how this thing flows. I just want to see how it flows first. Okay, so I have other boards that I can play. Like I said, this is a playground. That's the name of the file actually. Playground grid. So I'll bring it out. I tend to advise creative to design their logos in black and white. Well, let me see, gray. I tend to use gray because black and white are not really. I don't want to say color. We might what's it called? Argue on that. But people that are into UI will know that they're not really colors like that. So okay, defaultly is in off. So I tend to maybe go to more of a lighter gray. I just want to see it in different forms. I look at it. This edge feels too sharp. Don't forget, we're just trying to refine ideas. Okay, I think I'm liking this. It's looking sweet now. Okay. So the question now is, how will I get that thing inside? Since I already have this form, what am I going to do? Depending on the logo that I'm working on, if I do a free form of this, it will pass. Yes, if I do a free form. But only sometimes I like to go the Israelite way. I'll be like, okay, how can I grid this logo to push it at least to more perfection? Because what we have for now is a raw form. So let's say this raw form now, after getting it from here, I think it's looking good. So that means I can develop on that idea, right? Okay, no problem. So I will go back. I will hide this scan document. I will hide this scan document and I will now try to adjust things manually. If you notice, we have this logo, going off the created grid. So that means I will now manually adjust this logo. Okay, first of all, I will centralize it so that I can know where the center point of this logo is. Because that is very, very important also. So that you can know how you will either position the logo or know where to use, I think position the logo. So let's say a logo that is, let's say, back heavy. So that means I need a font that will complement that heaviness from the back, towards the front. Or maybe I don't use a traditional upside placement. Maybe I could use off. Maybe that means I'm talking about something like this. So that means I might use something like this. Let's say this logo is like this. Like I said, this is just rough. So let's say this is the logo. Okay. Let me just. Let me just do something like this. So let's say we have a logo like this. This is already look like a logo anyway. So that means I might place it like this. Can you see what I'm saying now?
Mm-hmm.
It depends though. It depends. So try to sample different placements. And so this kind of placement, I have a rule that I tend to use. I don't just place it and using feelings. No, I still use most of my logos. I tend to do them mathematically. I tend to just do them mathematically. So that means if I'm trying to get this logo to be placed like this, so I'll try to look at the center of this logo. You guys are saying it. Yeah. Center of this logo. Divide this logo into two. The half section of this logo, the value is what I will use to scale this logo, so that visually it appears as if it's something that is flowing, complementing this particular typeface, or the logo. The typeface is complementing the logo in terms of weight and visual perception. So that means what I'm saying invariably is this. Let's say if this is the logo and the text is like this. So that means I will use, if the text is like this, I will use the half ratio of this logo to get the size of my logo. So sometimes I could place them half of of that same logo, maybe I'll just find half section of this. There's a way I tend to just do them, for things to look balanced. So let's go back to Whoosh. So now I will start adjusting things manually. All right. So in this case, we don't care where it really falls into, but we are just trying to track so that we are not having points, let's say 53.007 by 35 points. All those points, it doesn't really scale very well moving to more digital space. For people that tend to use Figma, I'm sure you've seen where if you try to centralize, maybe you did something in Illustrator and you export it to Figma and you're trying to centralize it there. Because you're having points, it won't really sit well in Figma. Leslie, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will adjust things now manually. So let me bring in that divider line. Yeah. So our account, okay. All I'm trying to do is to balance things on this side and on this side. Since I have the logo centralized, so I'm trying to get the same ratio that is here should be here. The same ratio that is on the vertical vertical also should be equal. So after centralizing, so I'll just try to move things manually. For what I'm trying to do is just to give the logo a form first. It is not perfect yet. I'm just trying to give it a form. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I try to export this, I will end up getting dots. Let's say 44.8 something, and I'm trying to erode that. So that means I will shift it to the nearest box. So that means I'm having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this side. After that, X, Y, what's it called that I put on the in the document. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Odd number. I don't like working in that zone. So I'll move it down to more even number. Now see, because I scale it down from that even number, can you see that I'm having SS here? Yes, it's not going to be perfect, like I said, but depending on the logo you're working on. If it's a more geometrical logo, sweet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is 12, 8. So if you divide 4 by divide 8 by 4, that's what am I saying? 4 in 8 is 2. So that means I have 4 on this side and 6 on this side. So that is on my board right now, I'm having 48 px by 32 px. So I will try to bring back the scan document to see if I'm still working around. Okay, we are not that fast. The form is still the same. Okay, so what I will now start doing here is to move some points to a more defined, some curves to a more defined point, so that at least things can scale well. Like this one, for example, is not really sitting on any of these points. So what I do is to now, let me say manually, what I'm still doing is rough, right? It's just to manually move things. I'm noticing a pattern. I'm like, okay, this one is higher than this by one step, that by one box, by one line. That means, oh, okay, do you know what? Let me just adjust this so that we have that visual increment. One scale, I don't know if I'm making sense. So this one is higher than this one by 4 px. The next one is higher than the one in the middle by 4 px, which makes it to be visually more balanced to look at. Okay, so I'm looking at this point. I'll be very fast now because of time. So don't worry, I will take you there. Don't just hang in there. I'm just trying to lay a proper foundation so that you know how, so that if you are charging that client, let's say you are telling that client 300,000 naira for a branding or a logo design or whatever amount that is higher than 200, I'm just saying. So that even in your mind, you know that all this process, you can justify it. You are trying as much as possible to give the client a very good deliverable. So I will note, okay, you are more closer to this point. I'll shift this manually. This is tricky, right? So I'm noticing a pattern here. What if I visually divide this box into, because if I move this one up, it will be too close to this, right? I was okay, do you know what? Sometimes I can create another line inside another artboard to just get the to just get half of this. So I'll move it to, let me say, can you see? It's snapping to half of that particular box. So I'll leave it there. So that this same half, I can further divide it for this one to sit. Can you see? Which is this. So that means this one is sitting in the half of this one. Yes, I did that. I go into details when it comes to that. So that means this one is sitting in half of this box, and this particular one is sitting on half of where this one, the descending what's the call of this one is. Okay, this middle, let me bring it down a little bit. So, okay, I think I'm cool. So I will check it again. Okay, I'm still maintaining that same ratio of 48 px by 32 pixel. Okay, so I think I can start doing something now. Okay, what about the curve inside? Just hold on. Let's get the form right first. Let's get everything sitting well. Okay, so I will turn this back to the morph field, and I will maybe sometimes, depending on what I'm working on, I can reduce the opacity to like maybe, sorry guys, so maybe 30, so that I can still see the grid behind the logo. I will lock it and I will start gridding now. Why gridding this kind of logo? Like I said, I could still pass for a freeform, but I didn't mean I'm working on a more geometric logo. I will still take you through these routes, because sometimes I tend to see some people, they will upload some grid patterns, and I'll be like, but the party logo you go to share. Or like, you finish the work, you just put all these circles to just bubbles, So I will, start grading. Okay. Like I said, I tend to use a more thin line. I tend to stay off black. I use red and pink a lot, but because my grid is in green, is in pink or red, I will use more contrasting color. So this is where I start training the reason for this grid, because if you leave it, like I said, it can pass. But if you leave it in this free form, our hands sometimes are not that really perfect, or we can't really visually just shape it. Yes, some people's eyes are trained to be able to do that, but sometimes I don't really tend to rely on that for myself. I'll just be like, what? So that I can get a proper curve for this, let me use a more defined line, and that is where grid comes in to give a more defined. Can you see now? This curve that we did, if we are to use our hand, can you see what we are getting? But if we are to use this grid, can you see that it's giving it a more defined curve inside? I just inverted it, Command Y. So just to get a more free form, but I will start with the more bigger ones, for which is this main form in itself. I'll be like, okay, if I get a proper form for this base, okay, see, we use our hand. Can you see what we are getting? But this curve is giving it a more defined curve. Why? Because we are just using existing shape, to just do line definition. All right, so I tend to just use all those circles to get the forms. So because this one is more of a curve vertical, I could angle this circle at, let's say, let me try -15. Why am I not using -9? All those angles, they are not really defined mathematically. So you can use something like 5, 10, 15, or you can use 8, you can use 12. I prefer more defined angle like 45, 30, 15, something in that order. So I'm using 15. So in this case, because I'm working on this direction, I will inverse it, maybe -15. Oh, perfect. So that means this curve now can give us the form of this side. I don't know if I'm making sense. So if you increase it, so that means to get this thing now, we can use our mind to run through. Can you see how we are getting the W perfectly now? Leslie, please, you are my mouthpiece, or should I say people's mouthpiece? Say something. Let me know.
Oh yeah. Like I mean, you consider the basic shapes that you are creating. Like it's helping to define the final logo at the end of the day. And it does.
Yeah. So
because of I think it now makes the logo to now become geometrically accurate at the end of the day.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's very right. So depending on the logo, if you want to go on freeform, if I'm working for, let me say, a logo for kids, and let's see, can I maybe showcase some logos, maybe just to use them as case study? If you don't mind, or what do you think? So let's say I'm working on something for kids. It depending on the corporateness of the brand. Sometimes they might maybe want a free form. So when it comes to kids stuff, it could just be something that's is free form. It's in free form, even though it's defined, but it's not too detailed definition of things because because it's kids, so it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So I'm trying to get the major parts of this logo. So can you see what I did? So that we can get almost similar base. Because if something is not right, guess what? You just like, I don't know why. It's fine. Maybe to me, that's I see. I really like, this thing still needs a form of rework. And major highlights in this logo is 1, brush, is 1, 2, and 3 in quotes now. Major highlight. So that means these 2 bays, visually, I would like them to almost have the same form, So I will now bring in this one. Like I said, because I'm working on this side, I will just invert it back to, let's say 15. Okay. So I will hold my shift tool so that I won't distort that form. Don't forget we are coming from a particular form. So that I won't distort that form. Because if I just scale it down, I will get something like this. Which might be far in a way from... Can you see how it's fitting? Even without me doing much. Can you see? Why? Because we are just trying to mirror, even though this side is more bigger, but we are just trying to mirror down, those forms, trying to, get things. You will not be like, but it's not really sitting well inside your, the one on the background. Well, yes, because those ones you just use your pen to just run through your sketches. You might not really get everything in totality from there. But I try as much as possible. If I've gotten let me say the sketch close to perfection, in a way, I try as much as possible to now still maintain that particular thing, or something similar. So what I'm saying is this: because I'm having SS here, which might later affect the in quotes now the logo. What I will now do is, since I'm using the same circle shape here. Do you know what? They already have a defined what's it called already. Let me just expand it a little just to close the gap more. Can you see now? So that means we are covering more grounds. But you are leaving this particular curve. So it's just more like just trying to tweak things. You can shift it back, you can shift it here and there, just to be very, very close to, to the one you are trying to work with. So I might not really say much here. I'm just trying to move things very fast now because of time. The reason I'm confident in the time is, okay, can you see how this particular one is sitting well here? Like I said, major highlights in this logo is this downhill, uphill, and this downside, So if we can really get that, I will now bring in, let me say this, because it's still leaning towards the side. Let me see if I use this one, will it still work? Good. Okay. So what if I scale it? Just moving things around. If we look at it, we are not really distorting circles yet. But why are you not using golden ratio? Calm down. There are ways and where you can use all those, those circle definition. I use them. I like golden ratio. I even use golden ratio to define my typeface. Let's say if I'm working on a design system, UI UX, I use all those things. But in this case, it's a freeform logo, right? But we still want that logo to have its originality, its looseness, if I will use that word. But that looseness is not just totally loose. It's still having a defined form. That is why we are now using these circles, to highlight major features. Features rather. Okay, so let me just try and move things around and see which one works. So this point, are just moving things around, trying, but we are still maintaining our circle to be angled at 15 and minus 15, which will be 345 degrees. If I try this one here, will it still work? What if I, bring it to the side? So I'm just using shapes to highlight major features in this logo. Don't worry, we will get there. The reason I'm kind of confident in time is because we've actually done this. What's it called? I know that we have we need to have a crunch in time. So I've gone through this process. Funny enough, I'm going through some of this with you because practically, we started this thing today. Like more like what I will use and all those things. And guys, this is just a side note. The what's it called that we are building on, we actually use Chat GPT to get this brand name. We use Chat GPT to get the brand message. We just type inside. Leslie, are you there? Because I remember reaching out to Elsie that she should give me brand name as a suggestion, right? Am I right? Hello? That she should suggest a brand name for me and all those things. But I think we're kind of
you very well.
having it. No, I said we got the brand name through ChatGPT and the mission statement and all those things for the brand. That I remember reaching out to you that you should give me a fictional brand name, but you couldn't get one. So, right? So we just, so what I'm trying to just say is that as creatives, we can use some of these tools available. It might not okay. You can even use it. Some clients might consult you for brand name. Yes, I have them. Even sometimes I advise brand because what brands, maybe in terms of the name they are trying to use, how it will sell and all those things. So I tend to do that. I tend to do that. So visually, I'm sure we all can see the W now, even without doing anything. I'm sure we all can see the W now. So what we now do now, yes. So this is make or break moment. Where we now use shape builder, to now highlight everything that we've done. I didn't really move too close. Like I didn't really zoom in to know if it's perfectly sitting and all those things. But what we do from here, once we have our shapes well defined, circled around, the sketch or whatever freeform you've tried to highlight out. So once you've done that, we'll now use shape builder. I want to run shape builder too because I didn't really move close. Funny enough, it's sitting though. But okay, let's just try. It might not be that perfect. I think it's working, right? It's not working in some places. Yeah. So this is the issue we tend to have sometimes with shape builder. Can you see? So in order to do this, that means we will need to move close to make sure these lines are meeting very well. So those are the things that I tend to do, moving into it. Because of time, I will now need to, so that we can have time for, what's it called? I'll move to the typography side. So like I said, we use shape builder to, to define things at this stage. So that things can be well, defined, refined. The lines especially. Even without doing anything, I'm sure you can see the logo, already kind of formed. Yeah, here. So I will now move to typography. Because of their demography, they said they want to combine new school, old school. They want to have that balance in between so that new school can reach out to them and old school won't feel as if it's too youthful. Yes, even though we will lean more towards the Gen Z because the new school rather, we'll lean more towards the new school because that's more like the people that will really appreciate the brand. But we don't want to appear too playful for high-end customers also. So that means we have to, how do we now achieve this? We can achieve this with typography and the color. So that means if it's typography, we will be exploring maybe more of a sans serif side, so that they can look school, they can have that, what's it called to them. And we won't use too bright, vibrant colors. We'll use more color on the pastel side of things. So that means if I'm using red, I'm using a pastel red. If I'm using maybe green, I'm using a pastel blue. So pastel colors are colors that are not vibrant. Let me type it inside the book so that I can show you. You can check it maybe yourself, pastel colors. Okay, so pastel colors are colors that are not too, so this is what I'm getting, they are not too brilliant, they are not too vibrant. Yes, they are colors, but they are more in a calm side, So let's move forward. So this is where I will now type the name of the brand. Depending on the brand, sometimes I can, let me say, tweak existing fonts. I can maybe come up with my own fonts. I can, maybe do whatever, but just try as much as possible to still have your end goal rather in mind. So I will now go through my font library, just to see some that jump at me. I think I'm liking this, but minion variable is more like a common, what's it called? I tend to advise creative to use pro font and to use family fonts when they are working on branding projects. Family fonts are font that has light, italic, regular, that tends to have all the chart font type rather. So I will just go through my font library just to see some that jump at me, and I will just tend to keep them. Okay, I think I'm liking this. I'll keep it somewhere. I'll duplicate and continue from there. I think I like this sand looking font. I could maybe keep it. I could maybe just keep it somewhere, maybe just keep it somewhere, So I'll just go through my fonts and see some that jump at me and keep them. And don't forget, because sometimes font can determine the logo style. Logo style can determine the font type. What am I saying? This one is having a sharp edge, right? But I want this edge. This edge might feel too sharp and not maybe too welcoming. So I will want to maybe dull them in a little, maybe by giving it a bit of round form, round edge. So that means I will try as much as possible to look into, the finishing of the typeface that I'm using, So let me just continue my journey through my font library. Okay, but this one is still having a bit of that sharp edge. So I can have plenty of this font that jump at me. I can have plenty of them. This one is not bad. So I'll just run through. So I don't want to, delay us too much. So what I will now do from here, let's say this is our logo. I will now bring it in and hold on. So what I will do from here is just to sample, just sample how everything sits together. Just do a sample view. Okay. Because this edge is a bit round. This one feels too sharp, so that means I will move on. So I will just try and do a sample use case. Or if I'm not seeing any, I'll just go through my font library. And I don't just install any font. Like I said, I tend to look for pro fonts, and I tend to install OTF.OTF. OTF is what's the meaning again? More open typeface something. Rather than installing TTF. What's the difference? Let's say this font is perfect. This font is OTF font. So with OTF font, I can have different other characters to give to my font. Can you see now? So let's say I'm designing something like for a candy, or maybe a chocolate. I want to design something for a chocolate brand, blah blah blah. I can do something like this. So I tend to install .otf. So please try as much as possible to watch out for that particular format of fonts to install, because you can have extra glyph. They call it glyph. Am I right? Yes, they are called glyphs, which is really, really cool. So we can use the same font, but if I'm using a .otf font, I can give it a more defined character or unique character than the one that you're just using as a base or using as a base font. So can you see how this font is now a bit elevated from this one? From this, let's say if we are going for this font, of which we are not going for it anyway. So can you see? I can use something like this for maybe for your wedding. Just maybe do like a logo. Let's say now this one is even looking like a logo already. I can maybe save this somewhere and maybe give it more defined form now. Oh, sorry. I cannot give it a defined form by doing something like this. Maybe something like this. Having as if we're having a cutout. I just tend to look at if it's gonna work. These are the things that I tend to do anyway. If I'm trying to do a laser work. See, that's how we are elevating this font from, that's just by the way. So I'll go through my font library to see what I have and what will work for the brand. Let's say in this case, we want to use this font. Can you see how welcoming this font looks? Feels welcoming. The edges are not too sharp. I can, let me say, try it and see if it works with the brand. I think, yeah, they're having some common grounds. They can flow. Sometimes I don't really do too much. Some people might want to, let me say, close this hole and all those things. Sometimes allow your what's it called to rest. The reader, people that will see thereafter, allow their mind to rest on either they should consume the logo type by itself or they should consume the logo by itself. Yes, there are some cases where I tend to modify the fonts, do some kerning, tracking, or whatever it is that I'm trying to do. Yeah, I do that. So because of time, I will move to color. So we've gotten our typeface. So because it is Whoosh Beauty, am I right? I will now look for another font, because if we try to use this one as a primary font, they might be having issue recreating this on a small scale and all those things. So I will need a secondary font that will look like a normal regular font, maybe having a more stretchy feel to it. Don't forget, we are designing with a particular demography in mind. So I can try a stretchy font. So stretchy font in the sense that, so let's say something like this. Can you see that the B is a bit stretched? The reason is because I want it to have a unique feel, and so that it can cover more grounds. By the time I scale it down, let's say I'm using my major typeface to be 12. So excuse me, I might use this one to be maybe like 3 or something. Put it like this, increase the tracking. Am I right? Yeah, I will increase the tracking. If that is not working, maybe I could increase it maybe to like 400. So without this logo having, I don't know if you noticed this so far. I don't have any colors yet because I don't want that to define my mood. I don't want that to restrict me yet. I want to see the logo in its raw form, how it's going to appear, even without color. Is it still going to maintain the same message? Is it still going to communicate the same thing? So that's why I don't design in colors yet. Most especially at this stage, I try to just have neutral feel. I'm not allowing gradient, any what's it called to affect my judgment at the end of the day. So I'll now try to move from here now. Let's say I'm okay with this view. I think it looks bold. They can read the font from afar. Things, if they scale it down, these are the things that I tend to do. Let's say it's on a website, is it still having that detail? Is it still Those are the things that I do them at this stage. Is it not losing its essence? Is this, can somebody still read this as W and still having that free flow? So those are the things I think I scale them down. I increase the scale. I just tend to move things back and forth at this stage. So I will now move into colors. They want popping color. Okay, but we still want to be able to reach out to, or maybe appeal to older demography. How do I do that? So I'll not be okay. Even if I want to use red, let me use red that is on the pastel side. Even if I want to use red, right? Okay. This red feels so much. So I will start moving things around here. Now, I can, at this stage, I can maybe walk away and just reflect on things. But these are the tools that I tend to use, most especially when it comes to color judgment. I will now go to dribble. I will go to dribble. I will go to dribble. I will now say, I will type in dribble, beauty, brown. Why? Because I want this same to be able to sit with its competitors without looking too strange, from its competitors. Even though it's unique in its form and view, but I don't want it to be too far from its competitors. Yeah, we might be using the same green, but I don't want it to have a unique green. So I will now come to dribble. I will search beauty brand, or maybe beauty logo, beauty whatever it is. I'll just try maybe to absorb different colors. Even this pink, I like this pink. Now I like this green. This green will contrast well with let me say, on white, or maybe this pastel yellow beside it. If you put this yellow on this green, it's not they are not on the same value. They have different so that if you, let me say, they put it in grayscale, they are not just having the same value, whereby if you put it on grayscale, they are not appearing as the same. They're having like a form of contrast. So I'll just check through. I'll just check through. Yes, sometimes I could do this, before. Like I said, I'll have a form of mood board file on my laptop, just so, But sometimes I just want to go back. I just want to go back and just have a fresh look. Like now, I like this yellow and I want to save it. Okay, I think we're on a good path, because I'm seeing this font also is having similar with this one. Okay, it's not bad. Can you see that this secondary text is having that stretchy feel? Okay. However, I'm just seeing this one now anyway. So I'll just go through. Okay, let me say I want red. I will now go to. Okay, sorry guys, because we are in Nigeria. It took the lights. Let me just try to put it on. Just give me some few minutes. You can with me. So while I'm doing that, let me just go through colors. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Okay, I'm back. So I will go to colors.com and .co to generate um colors for me. I use this a lot. I use this a lot. I use this a lot because I might not be able to give a defined color in itself. And I want colors that can work together. I want colors that can work together. Okay. I'm coming there. Okay. I want colors that can work together. I'll now go to generate palette generator. Don't forget, I'm coming from red, right? So I will now input the X value of that red. Oh, sorry guys. Let me copy this color. So I will input the X value inside this place. I will lock it down so that I can generate colors that can work with this is my primary color. I don't know if I'm making sense. I use this a lot so that I can have colors that work seamlessly together. Can you see this now? I wanted to get a green, but I want a unique green that can work hand in hand with this red. So if let's say perhaps I'm okay with this green, I want a more vibrant color just to dash it inside the brand. Maybe by the time we are trying to create the whole touch point and all those things. So okay, I think I'm liking this yellow. So these are the things that I tend to do. I'll bring it together. I will lock it down. Maybe I want a lighter, what's it called? So I will start like maybe clicking spacebar just to generate. I can undo. Let's say I like this black. Like I said, in design, we don't really use, except we are designing something neutral. We don't really use total black and total white. So you use maybe off-white, or rich black. I use rich black a lot if I want to use black. So maybe I could just lock this in. So these are the ways that I tend to generate colors for brands. These are ways that I generate colors for brands. So now, all the story that we've been doing since morning. So this is more like what we've done for the brand. So all the things that we've been talking about. Hello? Hello? What did you say? All right, let me move. So all the things we've been doing so far, this is where they meet. So that's why I said I'm a bit confident in the time, so that the only issue here is that generating patterns and all those things. So I might just run through. So these are colors I've generated. I like this red, or it's more like orangey red, but I tend to call it dirty orange. And I like this. Like I said, they want to be able to appeal to older generation as something that maybe they can relate to, but they want, let's say, more of the new gen, So that's why we have this. So from here now, let's try and create maybe a pattern. So I will look at it. Can anything give me a particular unique pattern for this brand? Okay, what if I do something like this? Let's say if I weld everything together. Sorry guys, we might have some what's it called here, but let's just I preempt this. Okay. You know, let me just, because of time, let me use it like this. I think I couldn't really create pattern because of the time. You know, I got the brief in a way later today. So all these were kind of designing in maybe 3 hours. So let's say if I increase this, will it work? What if I tend to do something like this? Hmm. Can you see how we are getting, let me say, patterns? But I'm not liking this tail end of it. Okay, do you know what? What if I tend to do something from from scratch? Let's say I have this, and I use maybe my pen to still create that form, right? But now it's now like a freehand. I don't know if I'm making sense. It's still freehand, right? Okay, then let me go. Let me go like this. Yes, yeah. Also, I learned something long time ago about working smart and not working hard. So let's say I have this definition already. Now I think I would like to get something like this, guys. Like I said, it's not all okay. Let me first of all let me say get out this pattern. Let's say from here first before we go to Ojoro method. Yes, I remember when I was teaching in a particular secondary school. Once I'm done teaching them maths, and I'll be like, okay, oh, we have this long method, but hold on. All this long line, we can finish it in maybe like 5. And they'll be like, Uncle, why did you take us through all this? So that you can develop your muscle. So I'll now use shape builder to maybe just get the shapes, get the shapes, get the shapes. Okay. Don't fail me now. Okay, delete first of all. I'm just using shape builder. Let me take out this one because I might not really need these sharp edges. All right, so this brand, they want to appear youthful and all those things, but they still want to reach out to the older generation. Okay, no problem. We can do that. So with this pattern, can you see this pattern is still like in flow? Now, yeah, I forgot something. The reason I went for this flow is because if we do something like this is where the logo idea came from actually, like in itself. Sorry guys, I want to show you something. So the internet is a bit slow today. All right, let me, while that is loading, let me develop on this pattern. So I will just maybe copy, we just sample color 1. Sample maybe color 2. Can you see how we are getting the patterns now? Maybe sample this color. Let me throw in yellow. Imagine this on a cream or whatever, say. So that means if I throw in, I'm coming now. I want to do a mock-up. Let's say call card for example. Block. I'm coming now. Yeah, almost now. I didn't just want to leave and just go on time. Okay, hold on, I'm coming. I will still show you that project anyway. But I need, all right, wavy, wave. All right, I'm coming. I just want to use this logo on a touch point. And in this case, because of time, I will just use it on maybe a call card. So this is where we actually got the idea of the logo, kind of. So if, let's say, if we rotate, can you see? Well, I wish I could rotate this, right? But okay, well, let me just use this one for example. So if you see, can you see the wave? Can you see? This is a natural here. Can you see the wave? So that's where we kind of got the flow. Hold on, this one will come in later. See, if we rotate this, okay, let me just bring it in. We're almost done. I'm just trying to wrap up so that okay. While this one is loading, right? So let's create a mock-up with this pattern and this logo we just created. So I might do something like this. Can you see? Can you see how we are building on the brand now? And this pattern was created like right now.
Jesus, this looks fresh.
So,
what the hell?
So let me bring in this. I'm just speeding this one now. I don't want to go into too much details. Let's still, don't mind me. This is my daughter's name. So let's still leave her as the director. So in this case, I will use the horizontal, the more like the landscape version. Or because of time, let me just still maintain this. Let me try to sample all the colors so that we don't have. Let me just use this color. Feels too much. Okay. You remember this our color, the color that we generated? So I will go there now to bring in the black. Yes, see? So I'll just bring in the black. That's how I generate my colors for brand. See? So let's go back now. See? So these are the things I tend to use because what I'm trying to do is psychological. I just want the client to be able to appreciate what they are paying for. Because if they pay 500,000 for this, I want them to see it. I want them to be able to see the touch points, relevant touch points. So this is another side note. If we are, as we are designing for a brand for, let's say, this beauty, what's it called? Yes, they can use call card, but I tend to advise that you use relevant mock-up. More like you use it on because of time. I don't want to go into that right now, but this is just ways that come up with brand, that come up with brand identity, branding for for a particular brand. These are come up with logos, presentation. So this is what I'm trying to say invariably. Can you see? Can you see that the W is kind of mimicking the flow of the hair? Can you see? Is kind of mimicking the flow of the hair. So the reason why we have this one in the middle is so that you can give a form of depth, to the logo in itself. All right, I think that's all from me. I hope I have been able to convince you and not to confuse you. All right, that's all from me.
All right, Bada, thank you so very much for taking your
So
time.
I told them that we got the name, they are chat, GPT, even this brand. So the floor is yours now.
All right, thank you so very much. So if you have like any questions you want to ask Bada, please share. You can feel free to ask him now. In the meantime, Bada, if you have like any social media, any ways that they can reach you if they're interested in interacting with you or engaging with you one-on-one, you can also share as well.
Okay.
I think you're on Twitter. You can go on Twitter.
I'm trying to be very much active online now. All thanks to Leslie and
Yes, we do, because it's a miracle how you are not active online. Don't worry, I'll reach out to Madam to push you again.
All right, so on all platforms, you will reach me through at the Abiodun Bada. The Abiodun Bada on Twitter, the Abiodun Bada on Instagram, even Figma community, the Abiodun Bada. And yes, and think on Behance, the Abiodun Bada. So the project that reviewed, let me just run you guys through the project. Don't mind me, I wanted to use a form of Ojoro method. This is just me being sincere. So this is a project that so I did this last year. Yeah, this is on Behance anyway.
Okay. I can drop the link.
Okay, cool. Okay. Is it here?
Yeah, you can drop it in the group. All
right. Can you see my screen still? Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let me continue. So this is introduction about the brand. Presentation is psychological. You are trying to sell the market. You can design a very nice logo, but if your presentation is very weak, clients might not be able to appreciate it. So in as much as you are pouring your energy into coming up with good logo, great logo, your touch points is very important also for this. So let me just move on. Yeah, Blockpay is a Web3 product focusing on solving payroll problems for both employers and employees, freelancer and creator. So this, the group we just talked about, this is it. So there's one crucial part that I missed. Even though I breezed through, but it's very, very crucial. In terms of, I think I said it. Logo balancing. Some people like, how do I balance logo so that it fits well? So it still goes back to, let's say this is the length of my logo, I tend to use, depending on how the font is, I tend to use a fraction, a ratio of either. If let's say if my logo size is 40 px, I would like my logo to be in maybe 80, in maybe 120, so that visually, because the mind will see this thing, so that visually there is a balance between the two of them. The logo is not to be corresponding to the length. This is what I'm saying invariably. If my logo is this box, then I would like my text to fall in between either 1:3, 1:4. Now, how do I get the spacing? It's subjective. This one is very, very subjective. Well, I tend to still do something like this. I tend to divide the lesson by 4, so that by the time you put everything together. So let me just snap it. Everything is still working in the same side. The only difference is that they are just scaled differently. So I sell all this to say this logo, if you try to, let me say, put it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, can you see? It's still balancing up. So anyway, let me move on. Yeah, the same thing here is we are having 1. So this is still this one is ratio 1, but I'm having 1:3 of this logo size. So I have different variations. So don't forget, touch point also matters. Because it's a Web3, I want to have, let me say, depth. Even though they might not use it as primary logo and all, right? But if it's standing between competitors that have a form of depth and all those things, we have a provision for that. That is why we have this variation. These are different colors. These are different logo variation. Let's say they want to do sticker, they want to use button, they want to use it maybe on a cup or something. I've imagined that use case. Okay, now see this circular tagline style. See where I use it here. Can you see? Because I want to position the brand as a new age. The brand as a new age brand. I want to, because of that. Yeah. So.
Stop. Go back. Scroll up a bit. Scroll up to where the logo was.
Okay, can you see where I switch? Can you see that this is their tagline, but I use this style, which is a child of this, so that even if they are using the name of the logo, the brand name can still sit like this.
Yeah.
By the one together. So where did this go to?
Oh, where the logo was on that black background.
Okay, on black, yeah. Like this?
Yeah. Yes. Jesus Christ. Do you know how
this is a rich black.
Like let's even forget the rich black, because that one is already busting my head, right? But the logo type is perfect. And why I even asked you to scroll up here is because I wanted to look at the type work. Because I know that when it comes to kerning, I wanted to look at the type work, the logo type.
Okay.
Like when it comes to kerning, you don't mess around. Like I'm just using my eyes to gauge it, and I know that it is equal. There's no bending to the left or to the right, man. The type work is flawless. But the logo mark itself, wow, man. No, Bada, no. You still have it. You have not lost it, but you still have it. It's good. It's good to see. It's really good to see.
So let me just proceed. So the reason why I went for this style of logo mark, like I said,
Kingsley.
Yes. Logo mark. That
what you're saying is not really distinct. So Leslie, can you mute your side?
Okay, hold on.
All right, Kingsley, can go on now.
It become my question. In your presentation, there was a part, in the beginning part, where the logo was in a white background. I was like, I seen like a gradient on the logo mark. It had a very nice gradient on the logo mark. But when
this, right?
Yes, this one. I don't know if it's the same or the one of the black one.
Your voice is very low.
Okay, maybe I'll type it on the chat.
So what's the question again?
You want to put it? Okay, Kingsley, I put it on the chat here. Then we'll read it.
Okay, I was about to say. All right. So that's not too much time. So these colors, I generated them via the link that I showed you. That's colors.co. That's where I pick my colors from. Once I have a particular color in mind, let's say orange, but I don't just go to color wheel boom and just take orange. Now I go there, or maybe develop on a particular orange I have in mind already, or maybe that I saw somewhere. I just, like I said, there's nothing really new under the sun. Refine existing ideas and patch your own. So, I just talked about the colors here, just, So I imagine the brand on a broader scale, if they're moving to because they are Gen Z, that means they will move more to the digital side, which I've already created. Colors 4, there's a provision for that already, which is the warning color, the success color, the danger color, and the neutral color. Whichever one was called that they want to use, they have a broader spectrum to choose from. I have their gradient. This is a color. This is the typeface that I'm using. This is a pro font also, and it has a long family. Family is I think over 36 or something family fonts. So this is the pattern. This is where I'm going. So Leslie, this is where the logo, you will get, this is where the logo makes more sense now. Can we see how we get what is this shape? Is it rainbows, right? Am I right?
Yes. No, it's not rhombus actually. It's basically a diamond.
Yeah, but there is another name for it. That's why I tend to find this name for. So this is, can you see this, right? You will see where we use it now. So this is it. This is our brand style.
Yeah.
So these are we are getting towards the use case now.
Wow, this looks delicious to look at. I'm not even lying. And the color management is flawless, man. Like the orange just pops.
It's one brand like that in or something.
Oh God, but don't maybe start designing logos again. I beg, I'm tired. I left that life a long time ago. I don't want to go back.
All right, so I will show you. Like I said, presentation is also psychological. This is not what I sent to you to the what's it called, to them at first. I will just show you that one in passing, which is the way I tend to present my work to clients. All right. So while that one is loading on the side, I use Figma for my presentation. It's very, very cool. So let me move on here. So can you see that block star? This is where it works now for sources. Can you see? Yeah. So that's all for block A. Are we getting questions already? I'm not checking the chat though. Oh, okay, yes. Kingsley, I don't know if you're there. Okay, like I said, yes, I use gradient on this because of the space they are playing in. They are Web3, and I'm sure if you've seen like all these Web3 designs and all these things, there is this again kind of look to them. This is not in quotes now their primary logo, but it's a variation under their logo. But that means if they want to do like a again, they have a full digital what's it called to play in, like they can use this logo. I don't know if that makes sense. All right. Okay. So yeah, I think someone is saying if you tell client 1 million, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they paid me in dollars for this one. No, this one, well, I have something like for Nigeria clients. Yes, I do, but the money is not up to that. Yeah, it's not up to that. So, yeah, any other questions before we go? Okay, I want to do a presentation of it. All right, so this is how I presented this work to the client. So this is my logo, by the way. This is my logo. I don't know if you guys can see. I've not rolled it out yet, but it's coming out very soon. Very, very soon. I don't know if you guys can make any sense out of this logo. Yeah, it looks Chinese. Yeah. Well, my design journey was really fashioned by old ways of design. Like I remember calling Leslie and lamenting like how I lost some of my files. This was a long. I don't know if you can remember. I have old design tutorials, as in old, like I mean old design tutorials, and because of the genesis of how these old designs, how they came into play, how the Japanese influence, how the this influence. I think I was really fascinated by the Japanese style of design. Even though this is not Japan, I don't know if you guys can look closely to. Okay, let me see if I can get a more block here. Okay, I think you guys will see it more on this. Let me bring it in here. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see anything here. So I just because that let me do that impacted my design sense. So I just tend to like reference, let me say, and when I'm sure if you've seen any Chinese or all these Japanese executed designs, there's a way they use red and circle and black that is so rich. Don't worry, you guys will see the presentation for this very soon. All right. So this is my name. God bless me. All my names from all the initials of my name forms my surname, which is Bada Abiodun Daniel Ayonikom. So I just tend to maintain that same thing for my birthday, which is Bada. So this is my name here, which is Abiodun Bada. All right, so let me move on. This is how I don't know if you guys noticed. I didn't put the logo here. I didn't put the logo here because I want the drive to develop from the client. I don't know if you noticed, I didn't put anything. It's just the brand color and the what's it called. I didn't even put the particular typeface. Oh, okay. Hopefully this is not the refined one though. So this is how I presented it to them. like I said, this is psychological. Okay, this was the first version because I remember, yeah, this was the first version. But let me just go through. So I tend to send it in as a link, Figma link to the client so that they can like interact with whatever thing I put there. So the typeface, I show them this, I show them that. But this is where I'm going, brand presence. I like to put similar brand so that the brand is not lost in the ecosystem of related brands. I tend to now put more like how your brand feels with other brands. You know, like I said, this is psychological. They want to see how they fit into the ecosystem rather. Okay. All right. So let me move on. So this is the pattern. I think this was the first one that was designed. The presentation. Don't mind the network; it's really slow. Anyway, so this one is just to give them a foretaste. I don't know if you noticed. I didn't really do much here because I didn't want them to have an idea. But because I don't have the time and they've like kind of approved the logo, I don't want to put too much effort into trying to kill the logo and do this. And at the end of the day, they didn't collect it. It can affect someone. So I just try to give them a foretaste of what is to come in terms of pattern and all those things, how it plays out. Now, I tend to have a memorability test. Well, this is, all these were born due to years of experience. Like, if you guys can really, thank you for going through this presentation. However, before you proceed, kindly take a note and try to resketch the brand logo. We can discuss the result during the feedback section. So this is when this is sometimes where we tend to have a common ground for conversation. When I tend to have a call with them to either present this or maybe talk about what I've designed. I tend to be like, there was an assignment. Oh yeah, we tried designing it. This is where you know if the logo is memorable enough, or maybe you refine it, and so on. So to click to the next slide, just click on this. So this was the second idea, because at first it was appearing as like a crypto and all those things, So, I just put this one as sample 2, Then this one's, I think these are my early ideas, right? I don't know if I still have it, which I can still use for other brands later. I love this. Imagine I want to design a chart, I can use this B. So this is where we tend to have files over time and reduce them in other creative projects. Yeah, I think that is all from me. Leslie, please, the floor is yours now. Sorry, guys, for the time. I know I've taken a bit of time, but I'm sure it was really worth it. I don't like taking time for granted, and I apologize for it. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so Bada, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for taking us through your design process, and I'm pretty sure everyone present must have learned a thing or two. We'll be doing these quite regularly, but I think with this series, our next design together will be using this logo that Bada has created, and basically creating a UI design out of it, like a website, digital presence out of it. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next time.